This week, the NFL Nation experienced their first week of free agency. A lot of activity was done by so many teams. Some made big and strategic moves. Others maybe not the best moves according to some. However, let's break down some of the big news and stories we have learned this week. Let's start with the thing that happened first. Brandin Marshall signs a new deal with the New York Giants, pairing him up with Odell Beckham and Sterling Shepard. Now we know probably what the reason was behind cutting Victor Cruz and Rashard Jennings, to save up money for a big-name wide receiver. But I feel like the chemistry is going to be down with the Giants between Brandin Marshall and Odell Beckham Jr. I think both of them are going to try to fight over who's going to be the number one wide receiver. So I don't think the chemistry is going to work out. However, both of them should have great seasons next year, but as a Giants team, I don't feel like they're going to make the playoffs next year. I don't know if they have it in to make the playoffs again, but we'll see as we get further into the offseason. Deshaun Jackson signed to Tampa Bay, pairing up with Mike Evans. And that was another solid pickup that a team needed, because there was word that Vincent Jackson might either retire or he will not sign with Tampa Bay. So that was a great pick. That kind of eliminates the process of them maybe taking a wideout with the first, second-round pick. Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith both signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. That was a great thing by the Eagles, because I think their objective going into it was to at least grab a wide receiver in free agency. And not only they got one, but they got two solid ones. Although Torrey Smith has kind of deteriorated ever since that rookie season he had with Baltimore, the year they won the Super Bowl. But ever since that, his career's kind of deteriorated, but I feel like Carson Wentz is going to utilize Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey the best of their ability. So if you're looking for some fantasy quarterbacks next year, good ones to go to would be Jameis Winston, Eli Manning, and Carson Wentz. Those would be three great quarterbacks to put on your fantasy team, because now they have weapons to put up huge passing yard numbers. Brock Osweiler traded Cleveland, but for how long? The Texans traded Brock Osweiler to the Browns, but there was a report that came out last night that the Browns would either cut or trade Brock Osweiler. Maybe they want to try to get some more draft picks. But there was a report that came out as well saying the Browns were going to try to make it right Jimmy Garoppolo. That was a huge rumor throughout the whole offseason so far. Is would the Browns try to trade for Jay Cutler, Jimmy Garoppolo, or any backup quarterback? We already seen him trade for Brock Osweiler. But maybe they want a different quarterback and they're going to try to trade Brock Osweiler to New England for Jimmy Garoppolo. Kirk Cousins wants to be traded. Maybe that could have led to the firing of their GM last night. But Kirk Cousins saying he wants to be traded. But he wasn't really going to go anywhere, because Kirk Cousins deserved his spot on the Washington Redskins franchise. I believe this is the second year in a row they've put the franchise tag on him. I think maybe Kirk Cousins didn't want to play under a franchise tag, but Eric Berry said he wouldn't play under a franchise tag either, but the Chiefs came with a big deal for him. So maybe Kirk Cousins just wants a contract extension, and he's probably not getting it, and that's why I wanted to be traded somewhere. But I feel like that story is going to develop a little bit more as we get more into the offseason. A.J. Boye signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars, probably one of the best corners that were available in this free agency. Really underrated cornerback. However, I'm not buying the Jacksonville hype, because at least for the last 2 to 3 years, the last 2 to 3 free agencies, the Jaguars have signed talented free agents, but they never perform to the best of their ability. It just turns out to be all hype. We even all saw that everyone and their mom thought that the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to make the playoffs this year, but they couldn't even win 4 games. So in fact, the Jaguars team this past year was worse than the year before that. So I'm not buying A.J. Boye being a player that changes Jacksonville overnight. Or maybe Jacksonville's probably a 5-year project. Terrell Pryor signed with the Washington Redskins. That's on the Redskins needed after Deshaun Jackson signs with Tampa Bay. That was a much needed thing for Washington. And just less than a half hour ago, it was announced that the New Orleans Saints have traded the New England Patriots, Brandin Cooks, for a first-round pick. I believe we got a fourth-round pick out of it as well. So basically what this does is, it's Brandin Cooks going to New England. I said it on Twitter, follow me at JB Talk Sports. I said that if Brandin Cooks going to New England, it's like Superman gaining another power. Because Tom Brady already has Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski. He's got Chris Hogan. He's got all these great receivers, and it's just adding to his weaponry. That's basically what it's adding. It's like you're getting another weapon. Anyway, no word yet on big name guys like Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, Eddie Lacy, Dante Hightower, and the most talked about free agent so far this year, Tony Romo. Denver and Houston are the top contenders for Romo, but it's more in favor of Denver. And Adrian Peterson, the Seahawks and Raiders have interest in. But as far as the Tony Romo one is concerned, I feel like we're going to see what happens with Romo, at least probably by next week. If I had to bet on a day of the week, I bet it's going to be on Tuesday. I think we're going to see Tony Romo. We're going to see an announcement on where Tony Romo's headed. I think it's going to be Tuesday. If it's not Tuesday, it'll probably be early Wednesday morning. But we'll have that announcement by next week for sure. Anyway, that is going to do it. Like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me through at JB Talk Sports. Have a great night, everybody. I will see you next time.